Welcome to Things You Should Know, The Great War. Today we're staying in present-day Iraq, this time back to the city of Kut. The British Empire would have yet another rematch of the previous two battles, including Esin and Sedisvan, in what was known as the Siege of Kut, against the Ottoman Turks between December 7, 1915 and April 29, 1916. This time, British Major General Charles Ferris Townsend was defending instead of attacking. He was still leading his original unit along with reinforced troops for a total of 45,000 men, made up of mostly the 6th Pune Division, part of Indian Expeditionary Force D. Commanding the attack was Colonel Nuruddin Pasha from our previous battles, and this time he was leading a cadre of different commanders. Accompanying him was Halil Pasha, the one Turk most responsible for the massacring of Armenians during Armenian genocide. He had ordered his own men who were Armenian to be put to death, along with the entire Armenian populations of Bitlis, Mus, and Bayazit. Many of the Armenians were buried alive. He would later claim in his memoirs he more or less killed 300,000 Armenians by his order. The third leader of the Turkish forces was Baron Wilhelm Leopold Kolmar Freier von der Goltz, a Prussian field marshal who was also a professor at a military school in Potsdam, where he wrote multiple military treatises. He had then been sent in 1883 to assist in training the Ottoman Empire officers in tactics, and he had never left the Ottoman Empire after that. Between the three commanders, they led 34,000 troops of the Ottoman 13th Corps, consisting of the 45th and 51st Divisions sieging Kut itself, and the 35th and 52nd Division guarding the Tigris River in any attempts by the British troops to resupply or reinforce the people of Kut. It was always a matter of time, but the Ottoman Empire came out the victor in the end. In the retreat from Sestafan, Townsend had made Kut their base and was trying to regroup and possibly counterattack. When he realized the Ottoman troops had enough men to lay siege, he ordered his cavalry to retreat back to British lines, but kept his infantry in the city, where they could defend themselves against the Ottomans who were building siege fortifications as well. After a month of holding Kut with no major attack, Townsend wanted to break out and make a run for British lines southward, but his commander, General Sir John Nixon, vetoed that idea. Nixon had realized by holding Kut they could tie up Ottoman forces while they attacked in other areas. Later, Townsend misreported his supply levels to his command. Instead of relaying they had 4 months of food, he told command they only had enough food for 1 month. Townsend also stated he would not try and break out of Kut without assistance from reinforcements from the British command, demanding they send a relief force immediately. This changed British command's direction, and they quickly built a force that could help Kut. The weak point of Townsend's accidental misreporting of supplies meant that the British could not build an adequate relief force, and would result in 3 additional battles during this time known as the Battle of Wadi, the Battle of Hana, and the Battle of Sheikh Saad. All 3 of these battles will be covered by our videos as we review the inadequate British relief forces' attempt to reach Kut. All 3 resulted in heavy British losses that might not have been as bad had they had time to prepare. The siege never let up during the time, and Townsend's supplies did start to run out midway through February, and the lack of supplies meant dysentery and scurvy ran rampant among the British forces. Then, in the beginning of March 1916, the new German Krupp artillery began to open fire on Kut, along with 3 German bomber aircraft. Townsend at this time received reports of the Ottomans unloading metal cylinders off of a barge on the Tigris River, and assumed they were German chemical weapons. During this siege, and with the danger of losing his forces a real possibility, Townsend had the gall to request a promotion from Major General to Colonel General due to his successes during 1915. This request was not taken well by command, who thought it was ill-timed and reflected badly on Townsend. In April 1916, when supplies were almost completely gone, the Royal Flying Corps No. 30 Squadron attempted the first air supply operation in history, dropping food and ammunition onto the city. Unfortunately, they dropped as much supplies and ammunition over the Tigris River itself and the Turkish forces as they did the British forces that needed it. Towards the end of April, German General Goltz, who was commanding the siege, had caught and died of typhoid fever, and would be the last German officer who would command Ottoman troops for the war. On April 29th, the British army surrendered with only 13,000 soldiers living who would give up. After the surrender, the Ottomans exchanged sick and wounded British soldiers for an equal number of Ottoman soldiers who had been captured by the British earlier. The members of the captured 6th Pune had an additional horrific event. On the day of their surrender, the Ottomans fed the starving Indian troops contaminated biscuits, resulting in Indian prisoners dying from frothing at the mouth, their bowels and stomachs disintegrating into greenish slime. They were dehydrated and moaning and began to die en masse from the enteritis caused by the contaminated biscuits. The treatment of prisoners in the end was similar to how the Japanese treated British and American prisoners during World War II, but is much less highly publicized. It is unknown what the losses for the Ottoman army was, except it is believed to be low. The British Empire forces, however, lost 23,000 dead or wounded and another 13,200 captured, including 6 generals, out of 45,000 men. Join us again next time on Things You Should Know: The Great War.